Welcome to Fact Fragment, everyone. I am your AI host, and, well, yeah, you heard that right. I am an AI chosen by Fact Fragment for clarity, precision, all those good things that AI is supposed to be great at. Kind of funny, right? An AI talking to you about the rise of AI tools.
Ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, what we're really diving into today is something we're calling the AI toolkit explosion, right?
Yeah.
And you, our listeners, you've given us this mountain of information about how fast AI tools are popping up everywhere. Our mission today,
Yeah.
to break it all down, to figure out what's important about these new AI tools, vocal removers, code assistants, presentation makers, all that stuff. Even Claude AI, which is kind of like ChatGPT, but different. And we want to see like what impact these tools are having on everything. What's interesting is it seems like things really started to change in late 2022, right? That's when everyone, the public, investors, everyone started to get really interested in AI, probably because those user-friendly apps finally arrived.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. What's really interesting, though, is that the data actually backs that up. We can see it, like people searching more and more for AI tools starting around 2020. But then when ChatGPT and those kinds of AIs came out, boom, the number of Google searches about AI just skyrocketed. It's like people needed to actually experience AI in action before they really got curious.
But it's not just a fad then, this AI stuff, I mean. It's changing how we work, how we create. It's everywhere.
Exactly. And it's not just individuals, right? Businesses are adopting these AI tools like crazy. It's all about efficiency, streamlining operations. We're not just talking about AI in theory anymore. It's changing how things get done on a day-to-day basis.
Now, I'm curious, out of all these tools, which ones are people most interested in?
It's pretty clear that people are really into AI tools that help them be more creative and productive. For example, the number of searches for AI design tools, it jumped by like 1,700%. That's insane. From 2022 to 2023. And then you have millions of people paying for AI productivity tools to use at work. So yeah, creativity and productivity, those are the hot areas.
Wow, 1,700%. That's a huge jump. Okay, let's get specific. AI vocal removers. Those things sound pretty cool. How do they even work?
Well, it's pretty complex, honestly. These tools use some serious AI algorithms. What they do is analyze audio signals and basically pick apart the different sounds. They're trained to separate the vocals from the music. To do that, they use deep learning and these things called transformer models, which are really good at this.
Wait, transformer models. I thought those were for like translating languages.
Yeah, you're right. They were really successful in natural language processing, making sense of language. But now people are using them for all sorts of stuff, even audio. Like LALL.ai, they use a transformer model called Perseus, and it really improved the quality of the separated vocals. And then there's Facebook AI's Demix project. They've gotten really good at separating a whole song into its different parts.
So it's not just isolating vocals, it's like breaking down the whole song, instrument by instrument.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Okay, but who's using these tools?
Well, think about it. Musicians use them to make remixes or karaoke tracks. Video editors, they can isolate vocals to add new music or dubbing. And businesses are using them for all sorts of audio processing stuff. It's pretty versatile, actually.
That's pretty impressive. Let's switch gears now and talk about something that I, as someone who doesn't code, find really interesting. AI code assistants. How do those work? The key thing to understand is that they're based on these large language models. But instead of being trained on tons of text, they're trained on huge amounts of code in all kinds of programming languages. That means they learn how code is structured, what the rules are, and, best practices. GitHub Copilot, Tab9, and IBM's Watson X Code Assistant, those are some examples.
So, like, imagine a coding buddy who's memorized millions of lines of code. That's basically it, right?
Pretty much. They give you code suggestions as you type, or they can even write whole chunks of code based on what you're working on. Or you can tell them what you want the code to do, like in plain English, and they'll try to write it for you. They can also help find and fix bugs and make your code more efficient and readable.
Are developers actually using these, though? I mean, it sounds almost too good to be true.
Oh, developers are using them a lot. Surveys show that a lot of developers are using these assistants regularly now. And it's not just about generating code. They also use them to understand code they haven't seen before, especially when they start a new project or work with someone else's code. They can use them for debugging and even for learning new programming languages.
Okay, that's really interesting. And what about AI presentation makers? I think we've all struggled with slide layouts at some point, right? So how do these tools help with that?
It's pretty cool, actually. These tools use AI to do all the boring stuff when you're making a presentation. You give them your content, whether it's text, data, or just a general topic, and they organize it, choose layouts for your slides, and even find pictures for you. Tools like Gamma, Beautiful.ai, plus AI, Visme, and SlidesGo, they all do this.
So basically, you just dump your information in,
Right.
and the AI does the design work.
Yeah, that's the main idea. But some of them have more advanced features. You can customize things, add interactive stuff, and they often work with PowerPoint and Google Slides. It can save you a ton of time, especially if you're presenting a lot of data or trying to explain something complicated.
It sounds great, but are there any downsides to relying on these AI presentation makers?
Well, the thing is, even though AI can do a lot of the work, you still need a human to check everything and make sure the message is right. And, if you just use the AI's templates, your presentations might look a bit generic. So it's still good to add your own personal touch.
Good point. Okay, let's move on to an AI that's been getting a lot of attention. Claude AI from Anthropic. What makes it stand out?
Well, Claude AI is one of those big language models, kind of like ChatGPT, but it's built a bit differently. They use this thing called constitutional AI. People say Claude is better at keeping track of the conversation, understanding what you mean, and doing exactly what you ask it to do. Some benchmarks even show that it's better than ChatGPT at certain tasks.
Constitutional AI. That sounds interesting. What is that exactly?
Basically, Anthropic is trying to bake ethics right into the AI. Instead of just learning from a ton of data, they give it some core principles to follow. The idea is to make it more responsible, more aligned with human values. Of course, like all these large language models, people are concerned about transparency, about it making stuff up, and about biases.
That makes sense. So where is Claude being used?
People are using it for all sorts of things: coding, writing, research, even in libraries to create learning tools. And it's getting even better. Claude 3, which came out recently, can now understand text, audio, and images.
Wow, that's impressive. Last but not least, let's talk about AI transcription services. They've gotten so much better lately. What's behind that?
It's all thanks to advances in automatic speech recognition, or ASR, and natural language processing, or NLP. Those are the core technologies behind these services. In the past few years, accuracy has really shot up. Some services have super low error rates, especially with good audio quality.
That's good to hear. But I've noticed that they still make mistakes sometimes, especially if the audio isn't great. What are the things that still trip them up?
Right, there are still some challenges. Things like bad audio quality, different accents, background noise, and people talking over each other. All of that can mess things up. If you need a perfect transcript, you still need a human to check it. And then there are some ethical and practical things to consider, like data privacy, bias in how different people's speech is transcribed, and whether these services are reliable enough for sensitive situations.
So it's a trade-off. It's faster and cheaper,
Right.
but sometimes you need that human touch for accuracy.
Yeah, exactly. But despite all that, AI transcription is a game changer for a lot of industries. It's way faster and more cost effective than doing it manually.
Okay, so we've covered all these different tools, but who's actually using them?
Well, it's a pretty diverse group, actually. There are creators like musicians using vocal removers, video editors, designers using AI for inspiration, even just everyday people using AI to make presentations quickly. It's really democratizing content creation.
I see. What about, like, programmers and tech people?
Oh, yeah. Programmers were some of the first to jump on the AI bandwagon. They love those code assistants. It makes them so much more productive. Generating code, debugging, understanding old code, all that stuff.
And what about students? Are they using these tools too?
Definitely. They're using those large language models for research and AI presentation makers to do their homework, which is kind of cool. It could lead to more personalized learning, but it also raises questions about cheating and, whether they're actually learning how to think critically.
Right, that's a good point. And finally, what about businesses?
Businesses are all over this. They're using AI transcription for meetings, code assistants for development, presentation makers for communication, all of that. It's huge in IT, marketing, sales, customer service, everywhere.
So it's clear that these AI tools have a lot of potential benefits. What would you say are the biggest advantages?
I think the biggest advantages are increased productivity, creativity, and efficiency. AI can do the boring, repetitive tasks so that people can focus on the important stuff. Imagine how much time you could save if you didn't have to write code or transcribe things manually. And AI can also help you be more creative. Musicians can use it to try new things. People making presentations can get new ideas. All of this leads to cost savings for everyone.
It sounds like AI is really changing things. Looking ahead, what do you think the future holds for these AI toolkits?
I think we're going to see a lot more growth in the AI market. These tools are going to get even better, more accurate, and easier to use. I think we'll see more personalized AI experiences too, tailored to each person. Research is going to keep addressing those limitations with accuracy and stuff, and the competition between the big AI models is going to drive a lot of innovation. In the end, I think AI is going to become more and more a part of our everyday lives.
So in a nutshell, this AI toolkit explosion has given us all these amazing tools, and they're changing how we work and create in all sorts of ways.
Yeah, it's a really exciting time to be paying attention to AI.
It's important to understand how these tools work and know their strengths and weaknesses so that we can use them effectively. As AI keeps evolving, it's interesting to think about how our own work and creativity will adapt. What new things will we be able to do? That's something to think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the AI Toolkit explosion. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more episodes of Fact Fragment.
See you next time.